Guys, thank you so much for having me. Fantastic night. And first of all, I want to say sorry for your loss. It sounds like he was a wonderful person, and it's lovely to hear you all do your tribute to him tonight. So this story is a tribute to someone that I lost, but it's also a memory of an incredible gift that I got before she left. This is about my mum, and the story is called 17. On the way to your room, I heard the Kinks sing out, "I'm thinking of the days." So I knew that you were up. I knocked twice on a door that bore your name in red and green capitals and gently pushed, and you were sat in the corner, in this high back chair, only half shielded in this life-size cardboard cutout of Elvis Presley, with his finger pointed to the ceiling, dressed in a white and gold all-in-one. And it was September. But the Elvis calendar on your wall said July, because that was your favourite picture of him. And you told me once that you kissed that picture every night, then denied it the next day. But you blushed crimson, so I knew it was true. But you were fidgety that day, twisting a tortured tissue into knots, unravelling and starting again. "How's things?" "Good," you said, but it was an awkward reply. "Tight." "I love your hair," I tried, and you tucked a strand behind your ear with the shyness of a 17-year-old who hadn't been used to compliments, so they never quite landed. And you never got to hold them. My head was full of things to say, but I had learned that this was your time to show me who you were. "How's Sam?" I asked, struggling not to grin because I knew what was coming. And you looked up, and there was the sunshine, the upturned corners of young love. "I saw him last night," you said, pulling your fingers across your lips like a zip, because Sam was our secret. "We went to Raffles, the best chips in the world. Have you been?" And God, that question was as earnest as you, full of expectation and longing to keep this conversation going. "So, the best chips," I replied. Did I tell you how I met Sam? And God, you had. So many times I could have repeated it verbatim, but I let you tell me again. How he waited for you outside the factory where you stitched hankies. How you made him wait 8 weeks for a peck in the cheek. How you lay awake at night wondering how long you could keep the secret from your mother, who was strict, you had told me. Leather belt, strict. You had been going strong, and that for a still makes me laugh. For 10 weeks now, and he was the most amazing kisser. But you got distracted after that. The music had stopped and you started looking for a tissue, and I passed you one from my handbag, kissed your cheek, said goodbye. God, I stood outside the room for a long time, forehead and palms pressed against the cool of the wood, listening to the sound of you sing along, wondering how my heart could soar and break at the same time. It had started with post-it notes that littered every surface of the living room, these luminous squares of green and yellow that yelled repeated commands. Pay window cleaner, pay credit union, ring Cathy. Pay window cleaner, pay credit union, ring Cathy. Except the window cleaner never got paid, nor the credit union, and you never ever rang me. And then there were the things that I told you that you forgot, and the things that you told me 1,000 times. That day I turned up to visit you during election time, and you closed the door in my face. You told me you were sick of Sinn Féin canvassers and you weren't voting that year. And the time you bought me chocolates for my birthday, and you left the room, came back in, thanked me for them, and you ate them all, even the coffee ones. And you hated coffee. The phone calls in the small hours of the morning to tell me that you were worried Dad hadn't come home. Dad had been dead for 5 years, And there were countless visits to the doctor, diagnosis of loneliness, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, psychosis, but none of them were helpful because none of them were right. 10 years in elderly care told me what this was. This was dementia. But you were 48. You were fine one night wandering in the rain in your nightdress, barefoot and soaked through. It took 3 months in a unit for them to decide that this was early onset Alzheimer's, and 3 seconds for me to decide that you would live with me. On the first night, you had a delirium that had you ripping the curtains from the rails, kicking, biting, screaming, thrashing, spitting, unable to find the bathroom. You soiled yourself and you cried like a child. So I took you to your home, where you attacked me in the night thinking I was an intruder. You thought I was stealing from you. You phoned the police. And so finally, after guilt that sucked the very core from me, came an acceptance of sorts. I couldn't continue. I placed you into care, where you flatlined into a shell of all that you had been, and I admit that visits became painful and less frequent. I consoled myself with the fact that you would not remember whether I had been to visit or not. And years passed. I'd already lost you. A phone call came to work one day to tell me that you had been admitted to hospital with a chest infection, where amidst your rage and delirium, they told me it was terminal lung cancer, and they transferred you to hospice. You were 59. I visited one day during music therapy and stood frozen in the doorway as I watched you dance in your chair to the music of the Kinks, as much as your frailty would allow, and you were lit up with youth and joy and something I'd never seen in you: hope. As I approached, you turned to me with your face full of mischief and you said, "I bloody love the Kinks. Do you like them? I'm Keg Newlove. What's your name?" You had introduced yourself with your maiden name. And something inside me folded as I realized this is who you were before my father broke you. But even in the moment, I knew I was being given a gift. I was meeting my mum before she was my mum. So I played along. I sat beside you. You told me you were 17, that you were dating a boy called Sam, and we talked about the music you loved and the places you went to and all the things your mother wouldn't let you do, and you made me laugh so hard. We established a routine of sorts. I would arrive and find you vacant, unengaged. I would play the music of the Kinks, and there you were, 17-year-old Kay and you. And I fell in love with you, with your cheek and your charm, your infectious laugh and your insatiable passion for the Kinks. On the night I lost you the second time, the nurse said that you had been distressed, that you had been calling out, and unable to settle you, she put on the music of the Kinks and left the room. She'd gone back a few minutes later to turn the volume down and find you gone. It still tickles me to think that as the Kinks sang out, "Oh yeah, you really got me," someone came and got you. The medical records will say that you died age 59. But me, I know different, because the Kinks were playing. You died age 17. Thanks, lads.